Hey, this is your girl, Michelle Diva, giving you an episode of The Shy. Season 6, episode 14, Smoke and Mirrors. Um, okay, so, the episode begins with Victor having nightmares, okay? Yeah, sorry about that. He having nightmares, bless his heart, okay, about all the stuff he's done. And so Jake comes knocking on the door, to check up on his brother. And he jumps up, grabs his gun, and Jake almost gets shot because he was knocking at his door. Jake brings him breakfast, and he was like, "I'm just coming to check on how you doing." And he was like, "How you think I'm doing?" And he was like, "Well, he said I was going to throw a Halloween party at my house, but I think I'm gonna throw it here, since you can't go anywhere." And so he was like, "I don't want all these kids in here." He was like, "We ain't kids." And he was like, "Well, it's got to be over by 11:30." He's like, "They ain't gonna show up until 12." He said, "We'll be done by 2 in the morning." Jake is so corny. And he said, um, "Well, ain't no smoking in here." He said, "All right, bet." And I ain't wearing no costume. He said, "Ain't nobody wearing no costume." He said, "Everybody supposed to be in black." He said, then he said, "Well, then he said, uh, I don't forgot what, see, people calling me and I don't forget what he said. But he said that no costumes. Oh, he said hopefully, and he said it ain't gonna be loud music and stuff like that. He said, "No, you done already said yes, so we just gonna keep it. We gonna keep it pushing." Oh, I enjoyed this episode. Emmett and Keisha take the kids, but it's only like I think it's EJ and little Ronnie. I don't know what happened to the other two kids that Emmett has, but it's Tiffany's son and little Ronnie. He's taking them. They taking them trick or treating, and they all got on costumes and stuff like that. And then of course Nuck show up, and he was like, "What you doing here?" He was like, "I'm taking my son trick or treating." And he was like, "You just can't show up here." He was like, "This is my son." Well, Emmett, then Emmett was like, "You don't even got no costume on." And then he gonna pull, and he gonna show his gun, talking about, "I'm the gangster." That that was corny. Anyway, Maisha doesn't want to do music anymore. She wants to concentrate on her photography because she was taking uh, Gemma and her dad and Tiara's pictures for the Christmas cards, which uh, was an argument altogether with Marcus and Tiara. But she wants to do photography. And so Gemma was like, "Does this have anything to do with Brittany?" And she was like, "No." And she was like, "I just want to focus on something else." And so Gemma hired her to take Brittany's photos, I guess, for her album, her music, her, I don't know, CD, whatever it's called now. Whatever it's called now. EP, mixtape. I don't know, but she hired her to take photos of Brittany. So Nuck and Emmett and Keisha and the kids are trick or treating. Oh, and the bodyguard, the bodyguard that Alicia assigned to Emmett because she's taking over Smokey's. Um, yeah, so they go trick or treating, and so um, little Ronnie starts crying because I guess they were giving out uh, different candy than what he wanted. So he started crying, and Nuck was like, "Daddy gonna get you some candy as soon as we get home." He was like, "No, matter of fact, I'm gonna call that in now." And so Emma was like, hold on, y'all go ahead." And so Emma was like, "Listen, you know." This is not how we do things. And he was like, "What you talking about?" He was like, he said, "That's my son." And then Emma was like, "Listen, I know he's your son. You ain't got to keep bringing that up." But he said, I, you know, I feel like we shouldn't reward bad behavior. And he was like, "Well, the white kids, get rewarded. How come we?" Oh, he said because it'll make him grow up to be entitled. And so Nuck was like, "The white kids are entitled. Why can't we be entitled too?" But whatever the case may be, Emmett was not happy with Nuck, saying daddy gonna get you some candy. Marcus is going out, and Tierra wants him to stay home. And so he was like, "I'll be back in a couple hours." And he said, and so she was like, "But what if I'm not here when you get back?" Why she say that? Marcus was like, "Well, if that's all it takes for you not to be here, I prefer you not to be here." I said, "Oh." Basically, Marcus is basically starting fights because he really don't want this commitment. So he pushing her away. He sabotaging the relationship. That's all that is. He pushing her away. He's starting petty fights. That's all that is. LaPortia and Nina are watching a movie, and LaPortia, better known as Debrat, just trying to shoot her shot. Since her and her wife is broken up. I don't know if they divorced, but they are broken up. Jake has his Halloween party. Everybody's dressed in black except for Papa. Papa show up in red. And Papa passing out flyers to the Hallelujah party that they're throwing at the church. He said, because Papa said that this is a pagan holiday. And Jake was like, "You used to love Halloween." And I remember he did used to love Halloween. I remember when he dressed up as Biggie Smalls one time. That was funny to me. But apparently, he too grown now to appreciate Halloween. So then the first lady appears with a bag full of some snacks. And Papa was like, "What's she doing here?" She was like, "She brought some chips." Jake was like, "She brought some chips." I said, "Ooh, Jake." Ooh, so and so Papa was like, "She's married." He said, I know, I know. He said the M word, but I ain't gonna say that. But he said, I know though. I know she married. So, who? Duda and Professor Gardner, better known as Dwayne Wayne, went to high school together. Okay. So, Professor Dwayne Wayne, Lord Jesus, stay with me. Professor Gardner said, said, he said, Bakari, he said he broke his laptop, that hard working professor brought him. And so Duda was like, you want to be paid back? But he said he wants Duda to let Bakari go, and so he can, do his studies and he can write his book and all this other stuff. And Duda was like, I can't afford to let him go because he's one of my soldiers. And the professor was like, I don't want him to waste his life like you. He said, you still the bully in the halls with the leather jacket on, with no place to go home, Otis. I said, oh no, he didn't call him by his government. His government. And so Duda couldn't say nothing. He said, just get out. Okay. It's government, okay? So last episode, Alonzo Lafayette, better known as Leon, better known as JT from Five Herpes, better known as Rob's dad, better known as Alicia's ex-husband, got killed by Duda. Well, by Zay. And, Duda put him up to it. So Victor doesn't have a lawyer anymore because, his lawyer was unalived. So Alicia, first of all, she's, because Alicia knows who killed her brother, and she knows Victor didn't do it. So she talking to the judge that's presiding over Victor's case. And so she was like, well, you need to do something about it. You need to find a loophole or something. So you can so you can rule in his favor, because. And so she was like, well, so Alicia was like, because I know that you are gunning for some higher court, and if you put an innocent man in jail, that does not work in your favor. And I mean, yeah, you right. It doesn't work in her favor. So, she I guess she's thinking about it. I don't know. So they have a hallelujah night, and Papa and Pastor Zeke are raising money to fund having a fundraiser for a youth center that apparently is going to have an indoor pool, a state-of-the-art recording studio, photography studio, and some other stuff. So, they fundraising. We'll see if that ever comes to fruition. that youth center ever comes to fruition, because I honestly believe that Pastor Zeke taking the money and splitting it amongst him and Papa. Anyway, so So Sierra and Rosalind, better known as Candy Burris, is in the bed, and Rosalind, who is deaf, wants to be her bodyguard. And no offense to the hearing impaired people, but can she hear when people like coming up towards her to get candy? that would be my thing. But she wants to be her bodyguard, and yeah, I'm okay with that. But can she hear the people that's behind? I would think people could sneak up on her because she is hearing impaired. I don't know. I'm kind of like uneducated on this, but it seems to me that she can't hear the people behind her. I don't know. I have no idea. But she wants to be her bodyguard. And Candy Rosalind is with it. Rashad wants Victor to ask for Alicia help. Even though Alicia's already behind the scenes trying to help him anyway. And Rashad said, well, she changed my life. He said, because she gave you a job in a leather jacket. I said, Victor, you was really rude on this episode. And Rashad was like, listen, I'm not sitting here with the ankle bracelet on house arrest. And I said, yeah, that's true. Victor, don't be throwing stones in your hands now. So, he said, yeah, so she saved my life. So, anyway, so everything's going good at the Halloween party that Jake is throwing. They having a good time. They, talking and everything like that. And then Brittany shows up. So Bakari knows that Brittany told Duda that he was writing a book because nobody else knew but her and Professor Gardner. So he knows that she told Duda that he was writing a book. And so, yeah. So when she show up, Bakari leaves. Okay. And Brittany's kind of feeling bad about that, because that is her blood brother. Okay, so let's see. Like I said, Marcus wants to break up with Tierra, so he picking fights. So the next day, it's a guy that's standing outside Darnell's house, and he was like, "What you doing here?" I could not figure out what his name was. I rewound it and rewound it. I couldn't figure out what his name was, but apparently him this guy, Damien, and another guy held up a corner store, and because he didn't snitch, he did the time, and Damien, was okay to go back to his life. And apparently Darnell set that up to, for him to take the rap, because he didn't want Damien to ruin his life. So, and he said he did 6 years for him, but Damien said he just got out of high school. He he took a year off. And so I said, so Damien's probably like 19. So apparently he was 13 when he did all of this. Oh my God. Um, but whatever the case may be, this guy, um, apparently Darnell was taking care of him in jail, putting on money on his books and stuff like that. So when he got out, he came to Darnell and he said, "You need to find me a job." And he was like, "I don't know nobody." He said, I don't have a job. He said, "Well, I know you know somebody who have a job." So of course he gonna talk to his son. But yeah. So, but I couldn't find out what his name was. It is what it is. So Victor goes to goes to court, and the judge who Alicia talked to, they got him off on a technicality, so the charges are all dropped, and so Victor was coming out the courthouse, and it's a black car that was right in front of him, and the window rolls down, and Alicia's looking at him, and she was like, "You're welcome." And then the front window rolls down, and Rashad was like, "Congratulations." So Pastor Zeke gave Papa I guess his payment for the hallelujah night. And so Papa was like, "Isn't this supposed to go to the youth center?" And he was like, "Yeah, but you got to take your cut." And so he said, "I take my cut, you take your cut." So Papa was like, "Well, what you gonna do with your cut?" And he was like, "I guess I'm gonna buy something for the missus." And so then Papa was like, "Do you know where the missus was last night?" And he was like, I'm not her secretary. I don't know." And so he said, well, "How long y'all been married?" And he was like, 5 years. He was like, "Why all these questions?" He said, "Well, do you trust her?" And so Pastor Zeke was like, "I can trust her as far as I can throw her." He said, "And how far is that?" Papa was like, "How far is that?" "Papa, you need to leave that alone." So he was like, you need to go home to your mama." "You need to go home to your mama." Yeah. You need to stay out of grown folk business. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. So Professor Gardner talks to Bakari, and he said, "I don't think we should do this. Or I think we should put a pause on the book." And he was like, "Why?" And Bakari's like, "Why?" And he said, "You know why." And so he was like, and he said, "Well, I got that under control." And he said, well, Professor Gardner was like, "Well, I paid him a visit." And he was like, "What'd you do that for?" He was like, "This is my choice." And so Bakari's upset because, he paid Duda a visit. And so he said, "This is my choice." And but Professor Gardner said, "But if anything happens to you, that's blood on my hands." And he said, "Well, if you don't help me, I'm dead anyway." Man, that's crazy. I'm Victor's assistant is cheating on his boyfriend or his husband, boyfriend. I don't know. I couldn't figure out anybody else, none of those gentlemen's names either. Okay, but I know he cheating on his boyfriend or his husband. Okay, Darnell gets the guy who just got out of jail a job at Smokies. And so Darnell was like, man, you gotta you gotta get this guy a job because, and he said, why? He said because, him and Damien and another guy robbed a corner store, and he did some time for your brother and all the other stuff. And he said, my half brother. And he was like, he said, what he doing? Like, doing, what did he say? He said, what, why he trying to do that? And whatever the case may be, basically, Darnell was like, listen, you can't talk for what you just pulled off. Basically, that's why I laughed so hard because I was just like, that is true. You tried to kill Duda and you did not succeed. So you can't talk about nobody doing no kind of crime. So he said, I got a janitor job for him, and so he said he'll take anything. And so he mopping the floor, and Damien was like, he was like, the guy was like, I did this time for you because your dad felt like you had it's not prosperity. I done forgot the word. Basically, he had a lot to not to go to jail for. However that goes. I'm old. I can't remember. But he was just like, well, I just got out of high school, and he was like, and what you doing now? He said, because this ain't it. He was like, well, I know I like numbers, and he was like, and this still ain't it. And so he was like, well, you gonna make my life miserable? He said, yeah, basically. So basically, he gonna make his life miserable until I guess he stopped working at Smokies and get a for real job. Potential, that's what it was. Potential. See, I knew it began with a P, but I know it wasn't prosperity. He had potential. Okay. But he obviously ain't doing nothing with his potential. So that's the problem. That is the problem. He's not doing what he needs to do with his potential. So Maisha is she took pictures of Brittany, and they're going over, saying how cute they were. And Brittany just sitting on the couch, just thinking. And so Gemma was like, what's going on? What's wrong? And then she just spilled the beans. She was like, I'm working for Duda. And they was like, what are you doing for him? She says, spying on Bakari. And she was like, what? And she was like, and Gemma was like, is this where the money for this apartment came from? She said, yeah. But she said that Duda said I can do anything I want with the money. But so Gemma was like, you gonna have to tell Bakari. But he said, but what if he hate me? She said, well, that's the choice, but you gonna still have to tell him. So we gonna see if she tell Bakari. So then Alicia pays Duda a visit at the end of the episode. So, so he was like, "How did you get in there?" Because he was expecting Bianca, but Alicia walks in, and she was like, I got the key." So I think she probably got the key from Bianca. A tangle where we weave. Anyway, so he said, "Well, your son tried to kill me, um, but he, but he, he didn't succeed." And so she said, I should have never uh, sent a boy to do a woman's job." I said, "Oh no, you didn't." No, you didn't. So he said, "Well, I heard you was talking to Zay to have him join your little team or whatever." And she was like, "Yeah." She said, "Your soldiers are tired of marching for you." And Duda was like, "They'll march as long as I pay them money and they put money in their pockets." That's true. So, so then Duda chokes um he basically he put his hands around her neck. Okay, and he said, "I can choke you with my bare hands." And then all of a sudden Rashad pulls out the gun and he said, "Get your hands off my woman." Love it. Love it. And then Alicia whispered to him, she said, "I have soldiers too." Mm-mm-mm-mm. So that's where it ended. This was a good episode. I give it like a 9. It was a good episode to me. Anyway, this is your girl, Michelle Diva, signing off. Give me a thumbs up. Um, uh, like, share, subscribe. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Like, share, subscribe. Get down in the comment. Let me know what you think. Like I said, this is your girl, Michelle Diva, signing off. Peace.